Hi everyone, it's Nick. Welcome back to my channel. Okay, in this video today, we are going to be talking about bedroom design mistakes. Now, I did a video last year where I did sort of a part 1 to this. So if if you're thinking like, ooh, that's a mistake in a bedroom and it's not on this list, it probably means that it was in last year's video. So I just had too many things to talk about in last year's video that were mistakes that y'all are doing in your bedroom. So that's why we are going to be doing a part 2. And as always, if you love these things, then keep them. They're only a mistake if some things are just mistakes and someone needed to say it. And so, but some things are personal opinion. And so we're gonna do both in this video, let's be honest. Let's get going. Okay, so first of all, my list is going to be the bed stuffed into the corner. This is very common. I see a lot of people do this where they take the bed and usually it's space reasons, but sometimes it isn't. Sometimes it's just a choice, the wrong choice, but a choice nonetheless, where it's sort of just like kind of shoved into the corner there and not actually central to the room. Sometimes, rooms are multifunctional, and I understand that people maybe want to put the Peloton in the corner, maybe a bookcase, maybe they have a desk, maybe they have whatever, and we're asking our bedrooms to do a lot rather than just, having a bed and maybe a couple of nightstands. So I understand that, maybe a closet organizer, a wardrobe, whatever, and space can be a big old challenge. And so people think that the right approach is to shove it in the corner. I would reconsider that because I think it isn't good for two big reasons. First of all, I would say it's just practical. It's a practical thing for me. Getting into a bed that's stuffed into a corner, especially if there's more than one person there, is really, really irritating, right? Because you're only going to ever access the bed, practically speaking, on one side, which is super annoying if ever you're staying at someone's house as like a guest or whatever, and it's shoved into the corner, and maybe you brought a partner or something like that, and there's two of you, and you're the one who's shoved up against the wall, right? Like, it's impractical. It's stupid. It just doesn't make sense. Now, if it's a single bed or something like that, or a queen size or whatever, and it's just one person, then maybe it's not that big of a deal for a practicality point of view, but I still think it's really, really irritating to get in and out of, and really, really irritating to make the bed. You know what I mean? Like, have you ever tried to make one of those beds? It's not fun. You just gotta like get on the bed and like pick up the edge of it and shinny and like shove it down into the side of the bed there. It's never fun. That's not a fun way to make your bed. So it really, for those reasons, feels like it's kind of a single teenage boy sort of style of how to do a bedroom, where you shove it in the corner because he never makes his bed and probably the only one ever in it. And that's kind of what the vibes that I'm sort of getting off this. The second reason is that, which is a little bit more getting into the design of it, is that it creates sort of a lack of a focal point in the bedroom. I think that it's really important that every room really have sort of a focal point that the room is sort of centered around and built around. It could be a fireplace in a living room. It could be a couch or something like that. It could be the television, right? Some sort of focal point in the center of the room. And in the bedroom, it is so often, probably all the time, going to be the bed. And so if you've shoved it in the corner, you don't really have any balance to the room because it's always never going to appear symmetrical, because of course you can't. And it's probably going to really struggle to be asymmetrical as well because it just doesn't fit because you've shoved the bed right in the corner. So to me, it always lacks a focal point. I just think it's so important to sort of have that kind of bed right in the center of the room there. I think it practically makes a lot of sense. It also makes a lot of sense from an aesthetics point of view because it will always look balanced that way. It will most likely be a lot easier to balance the room that way. It's just a much better way to do it. Now, I do understand that sometimes, again, multi-purpose rooms and whatever, and if we're asking our bedroom to do so much, it might make sense to shove it in the corner. I can understand that. For some rooms, really small rooms, like if you live in a tiny little New York apartment and you're like, but Nick, I have no other option. I get it. Obviously I'm giving very blanket advice for hundreds of thousands of people here on the internet, so this might not apply to you, but for 9 times out of 10 for a bedroom, don't shove it in the corner. Okay, second up is going to be no rug or the wrong size rug. I can't believe I missed this in my first one because I am constantly talking to you people about making sure that you have rugs. If I go into a room like a living room that doesn't have a rug, I've got a lot to say, but even a bedroom, I think it's just such a missed opportunity. Love a rug in a bedroom because I just think really it provides sort of kind of that tray, if you will, that everything sort of sits on. It just creates that sort of that boundary that just sort of sits in the center of that room and just really makes a room feel more grounded because everything sort of sits around that rug, right? It just feels empty, like everything's just sort of floating in space if it doesn't have a rug to really anchor to. I also love the practicality of getting and having something really cozy on the ground. Not only does it look good because you've got that extra texture play that's happening on the floor, but also it's just nice to walk on, right? If you've got hardwood floors in the bedroom, then I would advise definitely to put a rug in, because I just think it looks beautiful to have a rug there, and it's nice to, you know, get out of your bed and have something nice and squishy to put your feet on, as opposed to a hard surface. And again, visually, it is going to provide a gorgeous texture sitting on the bottom of your bed, and just going to really kind of ground that space and add another textural opportunity. That plus blankets, plus drapery panels, which we'll get to in a second, right? All those things really sort of help create a much more textural space, which is going to look a lot more visually interesting, especially since a lot of people are choosing more muted or neutral colors, and sometimes they can feel really flat, right? So if you've got white walls and white bedding, and you're just like, why does it feel so flat and boring? Like it's sort of like, I don't know, from an IKEA catalog or something, because you just have everything white and gray, then texture, right? Adding a little bit of texture on the floor is gonna really warm up a space and make it a lot cozier. It just makes sense. Also, make sure to get the right size, right? So you're probably looking to have 18 inches, maybe 12 inches, possibly extended outside of the rug. 18 is a good number to really shoot for there, where, you know, you've got that little 18 inches of rug sort of on either side, or all sort of sides of the bed. That's really nice. That's kind of a good indication of the size of rug that you probably need for the space. Now, if that carpets the entire room, it might also mean that your bed is really too big for the space, but that's a whole other conversation. But I would say aim for that 18 inches around to really give yourself that nice kind of visual space right there for a gorgeous queen size bed or whatever you've got going on, and you're in business. Okay, next up on my list is going to be having lots and lots of plastic organizers. So organizers can be great, right? We love to be organized, don't we? Or at least we like to think that we're organized. And sometimes they could be super, super helpful. But I just think that plastic in like bathrooms and bedrooms are just really sort of out of control. I feel like in living rooms, people have sort of maybe kind of don't have as much of it, but I just feel like because everybody wants to be really organized in bathrooms and bedrooms, they add a lot of acrylic organizers and plastic hooks and plastic things. And I personally, this is now, you know, this is veering into the area of personal preference. I just think that that really sort of hard, cheap looking plastic everywhere in your room is just not really doing your bedroom any favors. I think opting for wood as a natural material is a much better option. Metal, obviously it depends on, you know, what we're talking about in terms of the practical material choices and how that necessarily affects, because obviously wood is going to be heavier, so is metal, blah, blah, blah. Probably also going to last you a lot longer to use a higher quality material than plastic. I get it, we buy these little hooky things at Dollar Tree and at Target and things like that, and they're super, super fun. But, you know, they last a very long time, or they should anyway. And so I just think paying that little bit extra is just gonna give you a much more beautiful aesthetic place, the things that you're gonna really enjoy using. Do you know what I mean? And also, you know, on the topic of budget, yes, I understand. You're like, oh, but okay, but I like my Dollar Tree organizers because they're super cheap. But like IKEA, Target, lots of these places do have organizers and all those little hooks and things. They do have them in different materials than just using that same sort of hard white plastic that is all over people's bedrooms. So consider that instead, right? There are still accessibly priced items that are using different materials. Something like plastic coat hangers, right? We have so many plastic coat hangers in the world, and I get it. They gave you the free metal ones or the free plastic ones over there at the dry cleaners, and they have the have a nice day with the smiley face on it, and you were like, well, this is great. I want to use this forever. I get it. But just consider opting for wood hangers. That little nice little upgrade to your bedroom is going to make a huge difference, right? So maybe think about just little ways that you can, you know, buy less plastic and maybe some different materials that are going to last you a lot longer, are a joy to use, and maybe, you know, just overall aesthetically better. Okay, next up on my list is going to be giant open wardrobes, or kind of wardrobe racks that people sort of have all over their room. Do people have a lot of these? I feel like maybe like TikTok and Instagram and people's get ready with me's sort of make me think that people have a lot more of these open racks sitting in their bedrooms than they probably actually do, because maybe that these people are influencers, right? So maybe they just like whip out these racks all the time. I have no idea. Maybe real people that are not influencers don't have enough of these, but I've seen a lot of these in people's rooms to make me put it on this list, which is these open rack systems. I find that they make a space feel a lot more cluttered than they actually are. I have gone on record a lot on my feelings on using a lot of sort of open storage systems and not having closed door cabinetry. I'm personally a big fan of the closed door cabinetry because I think it hides all your ugly crap, and you have a lot of it. And although your clothing, I'm sure, is chic and gorgeous, it just always is gonna make your space feel really cluttered if you just have it sort of hung up on these metal racks all over your bedroom. I think that closet systems are magical things because what they do is they have doors on them, and those doors can shove all your stuff in there and close it up, and you don't have to look at it all the time. You only have to look at it when you open the door, and then you use it for the once or twice a day that you actually need to go in there. The rest of the time that you're in your bedroom, it is calm and serene because it's got these doors that are magic and they hide all your stuff in there so you don't have to look at them all the time. And I think that that is a magical, wonderful thing. And so I would consider hiding a lot of your clothing, as gorgeous as I'm sure it is, as I'm sure it's super chic and amazing, shove it in the old closet, right? Like maybe don't have these open storage racks because, you know, you can design the rest of your beautiful bedroom with all the tips that I give you. But if you've got your chic clothing on display, it's always gonna look a little cluttered. You know what I mean? And I just think if you seal it away, then that's gonna really, you know, make a huge difference for you. Go with that. Okay, and then next up on my list is gonna be not considering window treatment. So first of all, I said not considering. So that's always really important when I do these videos is not consider, just like an idea. These are just ideas. You don't have to listen to any of them. You can just tune me out and whatever, that's fine too, I don't care. I don't have to live there. So it's no odds to me if you take these tips and don't do anything with them or not. I don't live there. In fact, if you don't and then put them on social media, then I get to include them in future videos. So you see how that's actually a good thing for me. So feel free to not take these tips. But if you are considering these tips, I would consider maybe putting window treatments on. Now, sometimes not considering them might make sense because it might be your style. You might not want window treatments. It might just fit the rest of your space. And that is an aesthetic choice that might make sense for you, but I would consider perhaps putting in some window treatments. And the reason is really a couple. I would say, first of all, it provides a wonderful practical benefit that makes sense, I think especially so in the bedroom, which is that at night you can close them, which is great because of privacy and also to not have the light necessarily shining in your bedroom first thing in the morning, because as we head into the summer months, it starts getting sunny at 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning or something, and that's really irritating because now you're awake way too early than you probably needed to be. So there's an obvious practical benefit to being able to close them up. Also, privacy depends on where you live. I currently right now, I'm living here in an apartment in downtown Vancouver. So yeah, there's buildings all over the place. And so some privacy is a nice thing. So having some shades in there, because obviously, you know, the bedroom is a place where people want privacy. And so that's a good thing. So there's a practical, obvious benefit there. So that's a good start. In addition to the privacy and the practicality of having them, from an aesthetic perspective, it also allows you to have another opportunity to add more texture into your space. So, you know, having beautiful window treatments is a wonderful way to sort of, again, you know, on one of the walls, you know, if you've got a sliding door, you got a big window, you got a big whatever, it's an opportunity to put some texture on the wall as opposed to just necessarily always just having it on the bedding or of course that rug that I told you about earlier, right? So it's just an opportunity for texture and to have some fun with it. And you don't necessarily have to have really big, giant, heavy curtains if that's not your style. Things like Roman shades can be wonderful, right? There's different window treatment options that are out there that are absolutely great and fantastic and will provide you the practical benefit as well as the aesthetic coziness that you're gonna get by adding more texture into the space. All about it. Okay, next up, we're gonna say that nightstands that are the wrong height. So nightstands are an important piece because obviously they provide a practical benefit for you to have one or hopefully two, because you didn't shove it in the corner because you saw point one. Now you've got a couple of nightstands, fantastic. Okay, so what height should they be? Aim for around mattress height. This is assuming that you have a mattress that's the correct height. We'll get to that in a second. But putting the nightstand to be actually the correct height, I think is a really great height to shoot for. Now, sometimes, you know, people buy nightstands that are way too high. And I think that that's functionally not fun, because if you take your glasses off at the end of the night and you got to go like this in order to put them on, that's probably, or to put them back. So if it's the end of the night and you're sitting there taking your glasses and you're putting them on to go to sleep, you know, if you're doing this, that's probably a little bit too high from the bed. So I would aim for around mattress height. That is going to be roughly the most kind of practical sort of one that's going to make the most sense. Because again, oftentimes in interior design, people forget that these numbers aren't just suggestions. Sometimes they are actually just built for human beings. Like they're built for the human form. And so like if you're sitting in your bed, that's roughly around going to be the height that you're going to need it in order to be able to functionally sort of use it comfortably. Now, depends on who you are. If you're super tall, if you're whatever, it depends on the side of your bed, whatever. But like for the most part, that's roughly going to be the measurement that you're going to shoot for. If they're really low, it's also going to be really annoying and it's going to look really silly because you're going to have to go pick stuff up from off the floor in order to practically be able to use it. Aim for mattress height. That's the short answer. Okay, next up on my list is going to be wrong lighting temperature. I swear every single time I do one of these mistakes videos, I have to talk about the lighting temperature because it's important in every room, but you know, here we are talking about the bedroom, so let's talk about it there. Ideally, ideally, you don't just have the one boob light sitting in the center of the room, and you've probably got another couple of lights in there. And you do that because you've listened to me in previous videos, which kudos to you for that. So maybe you've got a floor lamp. Maybe you've got cute little lamps beside you on the nightstands there. How fabulous is that? Maybe you've got, why am I in a garden all of a sudden? How fabulous is that? Anyway, so you, you know, maybe you got some cute lights all over the place because I told you to, or you came to that wonderful logical conclusion yourself, in which case, great. But let's make sure they're all the right temperature. Nothing grinds my gears more than incorrect lighting temperature in the same room. Oh, I can't stand it. If I've got a warm light and I've got a cool light and they're next to each other, nothing is more headache inducing. It's nails on a chalkboard, people. Just make sure they're the same. Now, I think you should choose a slightly warmer light than you probably have, but that's my choice. You know, everybody has their own preference. Daylight bulbs typically are better for energizing people, waking people up, right? That's ideally what they're there for. So you've got the daylight in the morning, because that's the light that we get in the first thing in the morning. And then you've got the kind of golden hours, you get kind of closer into the end of the day. And then you got a nice warm glow kind of evening light, perfect for the end of the day. Now, ideally, you have them on some sort of Philips Hue situation, and you've got them all like timed and your circadian rhythm, and you've got it all figured out, in which case that's great. For most people, they're probably not gonna do that. They're just gonna pick one lighting temperature. I personally think that it's nicer to have a nice cozier light in the bedroom as opposed to something really jarring and energizing like those white lights that people are supposed to put in their garage or a medical clinic. You know, rather than those places, I think that you should choose a warmer light. It's gonna be a lot cozier, a lot more comforting, and it's gonna make a lot more sense, especially in the evening when you wind down in your gorgeous new bedroom. So that would be my preference, would be to select one light. Now again, it is personal preference, so it's up to you. You know, choose whatever lighting temperature makes sense for you. Just make sure they're the same, okay? That's all I ask of you. So if you do go with the garage lighting, commit to it. You know, don't just go in half measure. Choose the same lighting, ideally warmer, and use it throughout the room, okay? Don't mismatch your lighting temperatures, please, I beg of you. And if you do, feel free to post it on social media, tag me so that I can save it for future videos, thank you. Okay, and then next up here is the bed sitting on the ground, not having any box spring or any sort of, you know, bed frame or anything like that, just the mattress. The mattress on the ground. Remember that teenage boy we talked about earlier? That's that vibes, except he's moved out of his parents' house and now he's in his own house, but he hasn't figured it out yet. And he just sort of throws the mattress on the ground and says, why waste money on a bed frame? No, there's some practical reasons why you need to have some sort of bed frame and not just have a mattress sitting on a floor like sad bachelor pad. You know what I mean? I think upgrading your bed for 1,000 reasons, but let's start with aesthetics. It's obviously gonna be hideously ugly for you just to put a mattress on the ground because mattresses on their own are just, it's incomplete. It's just not there, right? You just need to have something a little bit more of substance to elevate it, to bring it off the ground, and to have an opportunity to provide more texture and color and just create a more interesting, beautiful space than just that sad mattress. Okay, next, it needs to be up off the ground. Mattresses also need to sort of have some ventilation going on, right? We're not just sitting there on the floor. It needs to be elevated off the ground so that the air and everything is all circulating around it, so you don't have this dank, sad mattress that's sitting on the ground like that. You know what I mean? Like, it needs to have airflow around it. It doesn't just need to kind of like sit there sad and pathetic, okay? And next up, building off of that, yes, we got the circulation, but we've also got dirt and dust, okay? The ground is usually not very clean. And so having this under there is elevating it off the ground is a very good thing. So having it in some sort of bed frame is going to be really, really important. And also at the same time, getting it up off the ground is a good thing because practically speaking, getting in and out of it should be the right height to be able to make it easy for you to get in and out of the bed. So if the bed mattress is sitting on the ground, do I have to tell you guys this? Like, you're on my channel, okay? If you've got a mattress that's sitting on the ground, you have not listened to anything I've said, ever. And if maybe it's your first time here, in which case, welcome. Thank you for making it this far into the video. After all the sarcasm that has come before this, I'm glad you're sticking around. Thanks for that. But if you've met me before, why are we still doing this? Get that mattress, get it off the ground, get it in a bed frame, circulate that air, get it off the dingy floor, and start getting some, and then focus on some gorgeous bedding. And that's really the next step here. Okay, so that's it for me for today, guys. I hope you really enjoyed this video. I'm gonna link here to part 1. So if you liked bedroom design mistakes part 2, guess what? You're gonna really enjoy part 1. Like, that's obvious. So go check out that video, and I'm gonna link it right here or here. I don't know where to point. I think it's here. I think I figured it out. It's this way. Okay, see you on the next video. Thanks, bye.